Hi everyone, I am Jackie. If this is the first time you are on my channel, I welcome you. I hope you find something that you like, something that's worth subscribing to, and that you watch my other videos. And if this is not your first time and you are a returning viewer, I welcome you. I appreciate you because you're the real MVP, and I say it every time only because look, you came back. You came back. I love consistency. Now, today's topic is more than likely going to be broken up into more than one video because I don't want to make my videos too long because I think people don't watch them because I'm not watching something that's super long. And then, yeah, it's something I wanted to talk about for a while. I just had to kind of figure out how I wanted to put it all together. So what I learned is that it's going to be informal. I have some points of where I want to kind of stay on track, but I may go off on a tangent because I may have a story that goes along with it. I also want to give a disclaimer. All of these views and these opinions are mine. They are Jackie's. This is not reflective of any current employer, previous employer. This has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me and my real life experience. And let's get right into it, okay? So, I wanted to talk about what it's like being Black working in healthcare. And I want to talk about it from every level that I've worked in healthcare. For those of you who do not know, I started out as a certified nursing assistant, and then I went on to become a registered nurse. I am currently a physician assistant. So I have a little bit of something to say about each of those roles. Now, first, let's start out as a certified nursing assistant. I was a CNA when I graduated out of high school. I was 17 going on 18, so I was pretty young, but I was able to get like a real job, and it was helpful because when I graduated, I had a son, so it was nice to have a job that I can pay some bills, okay, and provide for him. And as a CNA, being Black, I would say that most of the other CNAs that I worked with were also Black. And that provided a sense of comfort and community because you're Black, I'm Black, we can understand each other, we can talk to each other. But the feeling that I got being a Black CNA is that society just expects the CNAs to be Black. You know, that so we didn't probably get as much pushback. And I can personally say I didn't really have any overt racist experiences as a CNA. I would say that I kind of felt protected because a lot of the CNAs that I worked with were older, and they kind of like were mother figures to me, and I think I was protected in that sense. But I went on to become a registered nurse. Now, I got my associate's degree first, and again, I was young, and my nursing school class was I think there were about 6 of us in total that were Black. And I'm having a hard time remembering because that was like 19 years ago. I know, I look good. 19 years ago, yes, I was in nursing school. Excuse me. Because I'm talking a lot now. But anyhow, in nursing school, I would say that my class consisted of people across all ages, who've come from a variety of backgrounds. Like there were people who they were going into their second career, they were older, and then there's little old me. And I think the Black people, we were kind of tight knit. We definitely supported one another, but I can think of one particular time. There's this moment in class because I'm smart. I know I'm smart. I like to answer questions. I like to ask questions. And I would say that as I've gotten older and have been working more, my speech has gotten a little bit better. It's still got a little hood twang in there and some little broken up ebonics if I'm like really going. But I can tell you for sure at 18, 19 years old, that's definitely how I spoke. It was a little bit of hood, but I'm still smart. So I just remember this one white guy in class. I think he got mad about there was an answer that was wrong, that he got wrong on the test. I got right, and I was explaining why it was right, but he thought he was right, and it shouldn't have been marked wrong. Basically, the instructor walks out of the classroom, and he goes into this whole like mocking me, but mocking like I want to say like, and then with this and this and y'all and y'all and y'all. Yes. So that was the first time I was like, oh, he's doing this because not only am I younger than he is, I'm black and I don't speak like he does, but I did better than him. That was my first hint. Now, as far as working as a nurse, I started out first and I got my associate's degree. And I worked in a hospital that was in the city, and there was one other black nurse on the floor that I worked. Now, I hadn't been all around the hospital, but on the particular floor I worked, there was only one other black nurse. She was young as well. So we had that in common. But the thing is, the floor that we worked on the different ends, they took care of different types of patients. So she actually was the nurse on that other end, and I was on this end. But nonetheless, now, the nurses that I worked with were, I think because they worked in the city, they were cool, they were helpful. I can't say that I had like an overt racist experience from a nurse being a black nurse. But I can tell you about these patients. So I would get patients I'm being questioned and quizzed. First, they want to know what school did I attend. And I would always get asked, did you go to the local technical college? And I didn't. I had nothing against that. They produce great nurses out of the local technical college. I didn't go there because they had a waiting list. That was it. And when I would say no, I went to whatever school I went to, they would be like, oh my gosh, your parents must be so proud of you. And like, it was just weird and unnecessary. But it's like, okay, like if I said I did go to that technical college, would I not get this little weird praise from you? Very weird. I can list many times where I will walk into the room like, hi, I'm Jackie, I'm the nurse that's going to be taking care of you today. And they clearly just didn't listen or just being disrespectful. And they would say, am I the nursing assistant? Like, it wasn't clear. I would get questioned if I was in housekeeping. Like, there were many times, are you old enough to be the nurse? So, ageism is not the brutal thing, but being a black nurse, I would say that I would have experiences with patients that were older, that were white, where, some of them would do little, I'm trying to think I can't find the word I want to use, but they would do these little undercover things, and you're like, it's because I'm black. People want to know, like, why do we make the world black and white? And that's because we live in a black and white world, especially here in America. But let's go on to being a black PA. Now, I had worked for 5 years as a nurse before I went to PA school, and I kind of felt confident in my nursing skills and my nursing abilities, but I wanted something further. And I went to PA school after learning about what a PA does. I didn't have any clue. Now, I didn't know how many black people weren't PAs. Okay. I just wanted to help people. I wanted to work in medicine, so. The school that I went to is in the city as well. And I remember when we first had like our orientation when I got into the program, there was one other black person, and I can't remember his dang name. I was trying to remember his name last night, but that's unimportant. I just remember when I shook his hand, it was like sweaty, and I was like, why is your hand sweaty? But the first semester, I'm like, yes, okay, you know what? There's another black person. I ain't not the only one in this class. Now, keep in mind, there were 50 people in the class. 2 of them were black. And there were 4 black people that graduated in the classes total prior. So I think it was like we were in class number 10. So I felt like that was cool, But listen, I come second semester, he gone. Nobody says anything. I'm like, oh shoot, it's just me. It's just me. I gotta stay in. Now, I was in a class. I was 25 when I started PA school, and I was considered one of the older people, but I wasn't old. I also had like 3 kids at the time. Was married, and that was different than my classmates. They couldn't understand like why I'm not going on the bar crawls and why I can't stay out studying with y'all until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because I got 3 kids at home. Nonetheless, you can kind of tell that the first couple years, you can tell that people just thought you were there for numbers. And this is my reason why. My school used to not print the dean's list and make it public, like it was not posted in the school. So I was busting my butt, doing what I had to do. And I remember they posted the dean's list, and before then nobody's asking me to study, nobody's thinking I know the answers even though I'm answering the questions. And we had like, what was it called, it was like a challenge bowl, and you can pick a team, right? And nobody asked me to be on their team, and it was fine because I didn't really want to be on anybody's team anyway, because look, I got kids, I got stuff to do, got a house. When I'm not studying, I'm not trying to do extra stuff. So as soon as they posted this dean's list, I'm coming and getting like, oh my gosh, Jackie, like, you have 3 kids. I don't have 3 kids, and I don't know how you're doing this. And do you want to be on my challenge bowl team? So what I took from that is they just thought I was there to make the numbers look good, And while, in my opinion, is that there may be people who think that you're smart, but they don't want you to be smarter than them. They're not ever thinking you're smarter than them. They may not think you're dumb, but they're definitely underestimating you. And I learned that. But I made it through PA school. I can only think of like one other issue. My instructors were like great and excellent. I love them. But you think about some of your classmates who are not from the inner city, who are not from the hood. They don't know anything about that type of environment, and they're plotting right in the middle here. When people want to question what you know, so I remember times being questioned about why is my answer right, and why is their answer not correct by my classmates. And there were some annoying people that to this day I still don't, I don't wish it was only, I just don't care. Yeah, because I like automatically think of faces from then, but I do remember like you're gonna put the nasal cannula on 2 liters to start, and then the instructor's like, yeah, that's right, and then someone's like, why is it not 1 liter? And it was like, because it's not moving anywhere into your nose. Like, I think they forgot that I was a nurse before I went to PA school, so some of the stuff that I knew was because I've been in different scenarios, but nonetheless, I made it through PA school, graduated cum laude, and then started working. So I've been PA for 9 years, and while I thought this video may be 2 videos, I may talk and finish everything in this video. We'll see. But as a working PA, my first job was in neurosurgery, and that sounds crazy, absolutely. I can't say that I remember anything in particular in that job that was, racist, where I felt like I was getting racial undertones or anything like that, but it was not my favorite place to work, and, I went on to the emergency department. Now, the emergency department that I worked in, it was a city, it's the city's, one of the hospitals in the inner city, my bad. One of the hospitals from the inner city, and I was the only Black provider. I know they were like happy because my Press Ganey scores reflected it, but I was the only Black provider. No, there were no Black PAs, no Black doctors, not in that emergency department, which is crazy because of the community that is served. And patients would be so happy to see a Black provider because, they're like a unicorn where I'm at. But I can relate to their issues. They don't feel judged. They feel like I understand them. I'll have to edit that glitch. I was interrupted. But so back to the ER. In the ER as a PA, being the only black provider, I definitely had a different level of empathy and understanding. I was working with, medical providers. I think they were pretty decent. If I had to be honest, the nurses were somewhat questionable because I would hear people make these stereotypical remarks and I would have to correct them. I hated for someone to be like, well, um, they can buy a Louis Vuitton purse and an iPhone, but they can't buy Tylenol. And it's like, no, you don't even understand the situation. You cannot speak on that. So I remember doing a lot of correction um, in the ER with the nursing staff. And it actually created a rift because I remember I had to be my first or second day working there. And the nurse comes up to me and she's like, I've been a nurse for 30 years. She was white. And I was like, okay. And I think she thought that I was like 23 or 21 or really young, like one of the young PA graduates. And then I had not been around the block. And I said, okay, I've been a nurse for 8 years at this point, and I've been a PA for a year. So I didn't know where you were going with that. I definitely felt like I was being questioned a lot, not about my safety, but kind of because people were lazy and they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and they wanted to talk to people crazy and talk to people in a way that was disrespectful and was in my opinion, insubordinate. And the reason I speak on this is because as a nurse, I would never question the physician, the PA, the nurse practitioner, unless I felt there was a safety issue. Not just to be like, well, I don't want to do this. Like, you don't want to straight cath the kid, and you're asking me why am I not giving peridium. See, so that's not a safety thing. That's a lack of knowledge. You just don't want to straight cath the kid. Like, these are real scenarios. But anyhow, working as a black PA in the ER, I love some things. I definitely had to correct some staff, and I'm not apologetic about it at all. It just makes me think of a time I was asked, am I going to apologize? I'm like, maybe if they apologize? Nope. Do I think some of that had to do with my race? Absolutely. I think that my age and my race played a factor, and they weren't used to somebody over them, delegating tasks to them. And you just couldn't punk me. Now, I would say, like, in general, I'm going to kind of clump all my other experiences from being a black PA. And just, I think a lot of the blatant, direct racial undertones I felt would come from patients in the community. I can't say that my colleagues were like blatant. It would probably be more like undercover. Like, they would say things and they would think it'd be cool. So I think that I don't want to make this video too long, so this will just be part one, because now we're going to go into some of the stories and some of the things that, as a black healthcare provider, that I felt weren't cool, that aren't cool, and can prepare you better. Okay.